Hello. This is a how-to for the creative expression across pedagogical approaches analysis. This is not due until the 30th of November. So you have all through Thanksgiving break to work on this as well. But it's a long assignment. It's going to be probably 8 to 10 pages by the time you're done with it. And this is the assignment that actually makes this a graduate course. So this is important. All right. So here's what you're going to do. There are many different approaches in early childhood education when it comes to how people believe children develop and how curriculum should look in order to make them develop even better. Montessori, Reggio, High Scope, Waldorf, developmental interaction, Vygotsky, and pyramid. They're out there. I only want you to pick two, whichever two really interest you, or maybe they're your two favorites, totally up to you. But you're going to critically analyze and compare these two pedagogical models, examining how they view, how they value, and nurture creative expression, which that's a huge undertaking because it's going to require a lot of research on your part. Okay, you're going to have an introduction and explain the importance of creativity in general. Why are we even worried about it? Why do we care what Reggio said about creativity or Montessori? Then you're going to identify the two models that you selected and analyze and explain why you selected them. And you're going to explain your thesis. Your thesis is whether you believe, this is in your opinion, whether you believe the approaches will contrast with one another, be different, whether they complement each other, are they very similar, or reveal tensions in practice where perhaps one part of the pedagogical approach is very similar and another part is very different. So this is an opinion piece here in the introduction, because at the end, in the conclusion, you're going to reflect back to this and see, if your opinion has changed now that you've done all this research. Okay. Then you're going to do a section, and please label these, use the labels, theoretical foundations. You're going to thoroughly explain each pedagogical approach's philosophy and historical origins. And then you're going to thoroughly explain the role of creativity within each of the pedagogical approaches you selected. Next, you're going to do a section titled Creative Expression in Practice for each of the pedagogical approaches you selected. You're going to analyze the environment. How is the classroom designed to foster creativity in that particular approach or not? There are some here that do not. Materials, what kinds of open-ended and structured materials are used in those approaches? How is the teacher's role viewed when it comes to being an educator in creative activities? Or is the teacher viewed as a facilitator, a guide, an instructor, or someone else? What about child agency? To what extent are children free to initiate, explore, or direct creative play? And then in modalities, how do the arts, play, storytelling, music, and movement fit into the curriculum that's being taught? Because the curricula are quite different for all of these. Okay, comparative analysis. You're going to identify and explain similarities and differences within each pedagogical approach. This is where you've done this research, and now you're going to compare. You're going to evaluate the strengths and limitations of each pedagogical approach regarding creativity. And then you're going to integrate your research evidence about child outcomes wherever possible. And some of these have a lot of research attached to them, and some don't. And that's okay. You can only do what you can when it comes to finding these. Critical reflection, connect your findings to your own philosophy of early childhood education. We're all different. We all have different philosophies. And connect whatever you found. I mean, whatever it may be. And then reflect on the feasibility of implementing the pedagogical approaches you selected in today's accountability driven climate. Conclusion: revisit your thesis and summarize the key insights. That, remember, this is what I'm asking you to look at, the thesis, where you wrote about whether or not you believed these approaches would be similar, different, or perhaps a mixture of both, and explain what you found when you did your research. Okay. And then you're going to highlight implications for future educators, policy, and curriculum design. Where do you think we should go with this? And I would say you need 6 to 8 peer-reviewed resources with citations in APA format. You're going to, mechanics would be APA format, accurate grammar, spelling, and punctuation. And then there is a link here to the Purdue OWL, which gives you a huge selection of APA materials. As always, I ask you to look at the grading rubric, which is available to you to see exactly how you'll be graded for this. And that way, if anything's been left off, you can make changes and it'll be more complete. If you have any questions about this assignment, please let me know. I'll be happy to set up a Zoom. Have a great day. Bye-bye.